Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. So, in our last deep dive, we really laid out the foundations, right? We talked about exactly what astrology is and how it functions as this incredible cosmic roadmap. Well, today, we're taking a massive step forward. We're going to explore what is arguably the absolute most important concept in your entire astrological profile. We're talking about the Lagna. It's the ultimate anchor of your chart, and honestly, understanding this, it's going to completely change how you view yourself. So let me ask you a question. Do you really know your true sign? Most of you are probably sitting there thinking, well, yeah, of course I do. I was born in August, so I'm a Leo. Or I was born in May, so I'm a Taurus, right? But what if I told you that knowing your birth month is barely even scratching the surface? In fact, relying purely on your birth month gives you a totally incomplete and often totally misleading picture. Today, we're going to shatter that illusion. Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, what actually is Lagna? 2. Sun sign versus Lagna. 3. Why exact time matters. 4. How to calculate it. And finally, a rapid-fire look at the 12 rising signs. Let's do this. Starting off with Section 1, what is a Lagna? The Eastern Horizon. Getting the definition of this concept down is absolutely everything. The Lagna, which you've probably heard referred to in English as your ascendant or your rising sign, is the specific zodiac sign that was physically rising on the eastern horizon at the exact precise moment you took your first breath. It is the literal physical intersection of space and time at your birth. To really wrap your head around this, picture the sky above you as a giant 24-hour clock face, right? It contains all 12 zodiac signs, and it's continuously rotating in a full circle every single day. In this analogy, the eastern horizon acts as the clock hand, so at the exact minute you were born, whatever sign that horizon hand was pointing to, that is your Lagna. It pins your specific moment of birth to this constantly revolving cosmic map. And this brilliantly illustrates why this concept is just so incredibly specific. Because that cosmic clock is literally constantly turning. You could have two people born on the exact same morning in the exact same hospital, and they will have entirely different lognas. A baby born at 6 a.m. might have their horizon pointing to sign A, but a baby born just 3 hours later at 9 a.m., that horizon is now pointing to an entirely different sign, sign B. Moving into Section 2, Sun sign versus Lagna, busting the birth month myth. The contrast here is super stark. Most beginners default immediately to their sun sign, which only requires knowing the roughly 30-day window or month you were born in. It's easy. But your Lagna? That demands your exact minute of birth and your specific geographical location. Think of your sun sign as a very broad brushstroke, whereas the Lagna is a microscopic laser focus on your unique identity. So the crucial takeaway here is that in any highly accurate astrological reading, the Lagna is king, period. But why? Well, because it literally dictates your physical appearance and your vitality, it shapes your core personality, your identity, and your direct approach to the world around you. And honestly, most importantly, it maps out your entire astrological house system. Every single other area of your life, your career, your marriage, your health, your finances, it's all mapped entirely based on where your Lagna sits. It's the absolute anchor of the whole thing. All right, Section 3, why exact time matters, the 100% rule. I really want everyone to slow down and pay close attention here, because this is the absolute core focus of today's explainer. 2, that is the magic number. Because the Earth is rotating constantly, and there are 12 signs completing a 24-hour cycle, a brand new Lagna rises on the eastern horizon roughly every 2 hours. Think about that. That means your true sign is entirely dependent on a very, very narrow window of time. And this is exactly why birth time matters 100%. Guessing your birth time or just kind of rounding up to the nearest hour, that simply doesn't work in the system. If you were born right on the cusp of a sign changing over, literally a 1-minute difference can completely alter your entire Lagna. And if your Lagna changes, the entire map of your life, your houses, your ruling planets, your fundamental profile, it completely shifts. If you input the wrong time, you are essentially looking at a perfectly accurate astrological chart for someone who isn't you. Exact time matters, period. Which brings us to Section 4, how to calculate it. The 3 mandatory elements. To actually find your Lagna, you absolutely have to gather these 3 pieces of data. First, your exact date of birth, day, month, and year. Second, your exact time of birth, and I mean down to the hour and the precise minute. And third, your exact location of birth, meaning the specific city or town, so the latitude and longitude can be pinpointed.
Honestly, I highly suggest digging up your official birth certificate for this one. Don't just rely on your mom's memory of, sometime around breakfast, because as we literally just learned, a few minutes changes the whole shebang.
So how does this data actually get crunched? There are two main paths. Step one is the traditional manual calculation. This is often done using a punchagum or an ephemeris table, where astrologers calculate the horizon lines completely by hand. It's incredibly complex, but historically profound. Step two, which most of us use, is modern online tools, calculators, and apps. Just remember the golden rule of software. It will give you an instant result, but its accuracy depends entirely on the accuracy of the data you type into it. Garbage in, garbage out. I do want to throw out this fantastic pro tip from the source material. If your birth time lands right on the edge of that 2-hour window where the sign is changing, what we call a boundary time, always verify it with a reliable astrologer. A pro can actually use real events from your life to cross-reference and verify exactly which side of that minute line you truly fall on. It's totally worth doing if you're on the cusp. Okay, Section 5, the 12 rising signs. Let's do a really quick, high-energy overview. Let's kick things off. If you have an Aries Lagna, your core approach to life is highly energetic, pioneering, and bold. You're a go-getter. Contrast that with Taurus rising, where your fundamental nature is stable, deeply patient, and incredibly grounded. Then we shift gears to the Gemini Ascendant, where you're approaching the world as a highly communicative, endlessly curious sponge for information. From there, we step into the emotional waters of a Cancer Lagna, navigating life through a deeply nurturing and protective lens. Up next is the fiery Leo rising, naturally projecting this confident, radiant leadership energy the second they walk into a room. And then bringing us right back down to earth, Virgo ascendants instinctively operate with a super analytical, precise, and highly detail-oriented focus. Always seeking harmony, Libra Lagnas are naturally balanced and diplomatic in all their interactions. But right next door, a Scorpio ascendant operates with a magnetic, intense, and constantly transformative kind of energy. Meanwhile, if your horizon pointed to Sagittarius, your core personality is adventurous, fiercely optimistic, and deeply philosophical. Rounding out the wheel, a Capricorn Lagna makes you disciplined, incredibly ambitious, and structured. Aquarius ascendants step in as the independent, unconventional innovators of the zodiac, total trailblazers. And finally, if your Lagna is Pisces, you interface with the world as a highly intuitive, emotionally porous, and deeply compassionate soul. Now, obviously, this is just a quick taste. In future explainers, we are going to do a massive deep dive into every single one of these. So here's the ultimate question to leave you with today. What is your ascendant? Now that you know the absolute crucial difference between the month you were born and the exact minute you were born, I want you to go calculate your true sign and drop it in the comments below. Were you surprised? Did your sign shift completely from what you thought it was? Just think about how understanding this one exact minute in time reshapes the entire narrative of who you are. Make sure you have your Lagna figured out for sure, because in our next explainer, we're going to introduce the 9 planets and see exactly how they interact with this brand new anchor you just discovered today. Until next time, keep exploring.